All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Season 2, Episode 4 of The Role Players. My name is Christian Hunt. I've got my normal cast and crew, Mr. Reese Britt, Mr. Dylan Walton, Trey Whiteowl in the back running the show. Guys, how we doing this week?
I'm doing great, man. Just a long trip from Nashville to Jacksonville and then back here for some golf, but it definitely took it out of me. But I'm here, I'm ready to go, and super excited.
A little bit on the tired side, are we?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm still cooking with Crisco, though.
Yeah?
Still cooking. I ain't burnt out yet.
Not burnt out quite yet?
Nah, spring break is too close to get burnt out. You got to push through.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's kind of that midway point where you're like, there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but you still got to push through to finals.
Because I'm weak. I ain't going to lie. I've been traveling.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Not like him, though. He got prestige, private class jets and stuff.
Trust me on that. I'll nip that in the bud real quick. We do not travel private or first class or anything like that.
You got that coach ticket.
Yeah, we're
sitting next
Southwest.
to the loud baby.
Well, we did actually on our way back from Jacksonville last night, dude. There was a baby crying the entire time.
Oh,
and I mean, we just played and we're like, we're traveling to the airport and back, and dude, we're done. I've still got this going on, so if my voice sounds bad, you guys just hammer me in the comments.
Sound good to me in the headphones. I'm just playing.
Oh man! All right, so let's get into some basketball, aka women's NCAA basketball, where we saw history the other night. Caitlin Clark set the NCAA record for total points, breaking current WNBA star Kelsey Plum's record. She currently sits at 3,569 points. At least as of this rundown was made. I don't know if they had another game since she's broken the record.
No,
I don't think they have.
But she still has 4 regular seasons left to go in the Big Ten, 4 regular season games and the Big Ten tourney, and then obviously March Madness to add to her impressive resume. So, guys, let's comment on her. I mean, and not only did she break the record,
cleaned it.
She
shattered it,
crushed it. 49 points in their win against Michigan. I mean, and we have it right here. Number 4 ranked Lady Hawkeyes beat Michigan 106-89, and we take a look at her numbers: 32.8 points per game, number 1 in the country. And another thing that I did not know is she's leading the country in assists as well.
Come on, fam!
Wow,
8.5.
I didn't know that.
I had to check it because it said 8.5 assists and number 1. I was like, is that number 1?
Bro,
you're the women's basketball guy. You're supposed to know this stuff.
My bad. I knew she was number 1. I didn't know it was 8 though. I thought it was 9.
Yeah,
she get triple doubles, bro. Like 30. She on some like Russell Westbrook type. Like
that's wild.
She get triple doubles like at least one every 4 or 5 games.
What was crazy to me too was the shot that she broke the record on. She spotted up from 3 steps beyond the half court line and just boom.
But she
I was like,
it though.
Oh my god.
That's the way she wanted it to be.
Yeah,
and I think she said that. Did she not say that in the
heard
post
somebody
game or
say
something?
that, but I don't know. But you could tell in the game, like, she wanted that jump from deep. And then she cashed it, fam.
Yeah,
it ain't like backboard right in. Like, she practiced that all week because she knew. Like, that's so tough. That's gangster.
No, it is good. It is good. I'm just excited to see the women's game, do what they're doing right now. We talked about this, a couple weeks ago. It's just like selling out arenas, doing all that jazz, and like, LSU, Mississippi State, LSU, South Carolina, like, Iowa and Iowa State. Like, I mean, those type of games, bro, they're selling out arenas. That only really happened for the men's game. The men's game was selling out all these arenas, and they still are. But, like, the women's game is doing, it's doing good work.
It's popping. And, she's the number 1 consensus draft pick in this upcoming draft. So we'll be interested. We're going to talk about that in a minute, talking about the WNBA draft. Speaking of the WNBA draft, Paige Buchers has announced that she will be coming back to UConn for her second quote-unquote senior year. Obviously, the COVID year, she got another year added to her eligibility. But she is the number 4 consensus pick, or at least she was as of up until she announced that she was going to stay. So, she's a top 5 pick. There's no doubt about that.
She's a good player.
Good player. But I wanted to get your guys' kind of thought about this because I looked this up the other night when I was doing this, and I kind of wanted – because I kind of had this thought brewing in my head about the NIL and women's college basketball players, and you take a look at the numbers. Buchers is making about $643,000 as of right now as a total of her NIL. Caitlin Clark's made about $762,000 as of right now, estimated, not for sure, but estimated. And then Angel Reese is Mollywhopping it with $1.7 million.
Which in my opinion is interesting because, and I want to get y'all's take on this. It's like, how much does NIL actually translate to how good you are as a basketball player? Because in my opinion, Caitlin Clark, for all obvious reasons, is a better player than Angel Reese. And Facts. I know Angel Reese, with her team won the national championship last year, but like, she's just such a pulverizing, person on social media. Like she's very present on social media. She posts on TikTok, Twitter, all of that
TikTok,
stuff.
like
exactly. Caitlin Clark's not that way.
No.
So it's like it's interesting that if this were the WNBA, or let's say like Caitlin Clark would obviously be getting paid more than Angel Reese. But since it's NIL, it's like there's not like a I don't know how to say this. Like, there's not a list there's not like a category or something like that to keep it all like justified.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't explain that very well. But
no, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying.
We know what
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I mean, Dylan, you can speak on this because I think the juxt of your position is while Caitlin is the better player, Angel is the more marketable player.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Angel is a little more outspoken.
Yep.
She's had a couple interactions with players, including Caitlin Clark doing the John Cena thing in the national championship. So she's a little bit more of a marketable star. She's a little more outspoken. Caitlin's more of a, hey, I'm going to do my job. She just does her job extremely well.
Yeah.
I just think
probably the best ever.
No, I'm going to get this, and then I'm going to propose my question early before we jump, because I want to get it out of the way. Me and my friends are talking about it. But that's what NIL is. How well can you be marketable? Like,
Yeah.
And shout out to Angel Reese. She won a championship. She went on the press tour like none other. Vogue magazines, what's the Ebony Black magazines? Like, she press tour, interviews, like, got a sponsorship from Mercedes-Benz, Beats. I'm pretty sure she got 1,000 more. Probably Popeyes. She's in Louisiana. I wouldn't be surprised she got a Popeyes magazine out there.
Yeah.
So I ain't mad at her. Bread coming her way.
No, of course. I'm not saying I'm mad at her.
That was just a phrase.
I'm just saying, like, I respect the players like Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark to where, like, they show up and they just do their job and they don't have a big social media presence and whatnot. But I also respect what Angel Reese is doing, because it would be hard for me in that same situation not to do exactly what she's doing and capitalize.
You got to respect her as a businesswoman.
No, she's getting it.
Because she's getting it right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
But what's your question?
I'm interested.
Since we on, and I don't want people to think I'm a Fugazi fan, I've been here early last season.
Well, your phone was off.
Oh, my bad. Hold on.
There it is.
Early last season, I've been here. I mean, I switch in between beautiful women and other inspirational quotes all the time.
That was gold.
But
that was so gold.
Caitlin Clark is a legitimate top-tier collegiate player of all time.
Yep.
And I don't know if you guys know the name of Maya Moore, but
I knew Maya Moore.
Who's one, who's two? Is it 1A, 1B, or is it too soon?
I mean, I'm not as well versed in the women's game as you are, but I will say just from seeing
just speak.
Just from seeing Caitlin Clark and what she's done on the court, I mean, you talk about a Steph Curry-esque kind of revolutionary within the game, because I mean, while the three ball's been in women's for quite a while, there's never really been someone that you, outside of like a Kelsey Plum, who you just immediately thought of, or Sabrina even recently, that could shoot lights out. Like you mentioned, she can step on the court, and she's within range. She's got that Steph Curry ability where no matter where she's at on the court, she's in range.
Yeah.
And so from what I've seen, I mean, I'm putting Caitlin at number one, just from what I've seen, personally.
Yeah. Dylan, I'll ask you a question. How do you win basketball games?
Two things, man. Getting buckets.
Yep.
Getting stops.
You score points.
Yep.
And I mean,
but buckets is number one.
That's what I'm saying. You score points, and that is exactly what she's done.
Not
only that, though, she's not only scored points, she's also produced offense in other ways, assists, like you just said. I didn't know. Did you say that already?
Yeah. Number one in assists in the country.
Rebounds
in the country.
Well, too. She rebounds
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, and I remember Maya Moore. Was she at Notre Dame? Was that right?
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Notre Dame with Kim Mulkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, It's or no, Kim Mulkey was at Baylor.
I don't remember. I don't know
but
about the coach.
Besides the point, I just remember Maya Moore as a strict scorer and how well she played defense, and she was a slasher. Caitlin Clark just does it a complete different way, and I love the way she does it. She goes about her business very quietly, and she gets in, gets out.
UConn.
Yeah,
blue blood of women's basketball.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's bad on my part.
But she had 3K too though.
Points?
Yeah.
Wow.
With 310 steals. Ooh, third Husky ever.
Well, by the time Caitlin Clark gets done with the regular season 4 games, the Big Ten championships, and March Madness, she could legit have 3,900 points.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, fam, she's gonna hit 4K.
You think she's gonna hit? She's gonna have 500
right
more. She's gonna have 500 more points.
I mean, if she keeps going the way she did against Michigan,
she's right under 36.
Yeah.
So she's gonna finish the season at 36, 37.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
I think she might get 38 by the season. Like, she's got 3 more regular season games, and then you got the tournament. So you play every game in the tournament.
She hitting 4K.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
we'll see.
I'd love to. I mean, 4K. That is so many points.
And I want to talk on this before we move on to men's basketball. But we talked about Paige Buchers deciding to come back, and I believe you said that Caitlin Clark is a true senior, so she could potentially come back for her COVID year.
Better not, bro.
But we talked. I want to get your guys' thought on this. We talked about the NIL money earlier. Is it financially better for these ladies to stay in college basketball for another year? Because I mean, just for context, the number 1 pick in last year's draft, A'ia Boston, her entire contract, assuming they pick up her 4th year, is worth $328,000. That's her. That's not per year. That's
total.
That's total. I had to make sure.
Yeah, that's total.
I had to make sure because I thought I was in the. I thought I was in the wrong.
Fam. No.
And you can look it up just to check me in case I made a mistake.
I ain't saying you wrong. I'm saying they disrespectful.
But that's my point.
$82,000 a year.
That's what I'm saying. That ain't no money for real for a professional athlete.
I mean, and I would say please check me on that just to make sure. Like check her breakdown just to make sure I'm accurate. But
and that's the number 1 pick.
And that's what I'm saying.
Number 1 overall pick.
If I'm accurate, if I did my research right, and
isn't it?
Am I right?
They say 320. 233, but you said they pick up the 4th year, so it'll push her right at 80 if they pick up the 4th year. But if they don't, it's right at 78.
If I'm Angel Reese and I'm making 1.7 in college,
I'm not leaving.
I'm telling the WNBA to kick rocks.
Yes.
I'm staying in college as long as humanly possible.
And not only the money aspect, think about the atmospheres that you're getting to play in.
Mm-hmm.
And with a team that you've already been accustomed to, in a situation you've already been accustomed to for, 4 years now, and then next year will be your 5th. Same way with Caitlin Clark.
Yep.
It's like you are the reason these gyms are selling out. You are the reason that all these away gyms are $320 just a ticket into the door.
Just to see you.
And like that atmosphere and you playing in it. You don't get that in the WNBA. You'll never get that feeling again, ultimately.
You're not going to get night in and night out.
No.
The highest contract in the WNBA right now is Aaliyah Boston's teammate, Erica Wheeler. 2-year, right under $450,000.
You got multiple. You got not got just one. You got multiple college athletes making more. Now we see this in NIL with the NFL and college football, but that's like for the 53rd guy on the roster.
That's what I'm saying.
We're talking about the highest paid WNBA player right now
in the league
is getting outbid by.
She's not even one of the best players though.
Yeah.
Well, I don't watch the Fever. I'm not gonna lie, they're garbage. I watch a lot of other people, but I never heard of her.
So you're telling me they made a bad signing?
No, they probably just filled the cap. That's probably what they did.
Oh, they have to fill a cap.
But I mean, talk about like a financial quandary to be in. Like, why would I go to the WNBA? I guess the only argument would be you don't have to deal with schoolwork at all. But still,
I'd rather deal with schoolwork and have $1 million in my bank account.
No doubt. It's so
crazy. It's wicked work.
Up.
Nasty work.
And again, I think it proves that we're like how we, kind of had the joke last season how we were anti-women's basketball. We are not anti-women's basketball. We're just anti-WNBA because they're a terribly run organization.
No, they are.
The thing about it is the WNBA is anti-women's basketball, if anything.
Facts.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, they need a listen. They need a laundry list of things to fix their league. But if I'm these women, Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, Angel Reese, I'm staying in college, and I'm going to make my money. And I'm going to try to win a national championship.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no doubt.
So, speaking of national championships, we're going to move on to men's. But before we do that, we now have a Role Players social media, both Twitter and Instagram. So go give us a follow, please. Both of you guys need to follow.
I was just going to say, let me check if I'm following.
I can't remember if you guys did. I checked it earlier, but give it a follow. I think I follow it. I think I was like the only one for like a solid 2 days. But go give us a follow at Role Players.
I followed it
on both Twitter and Instagram. So let's move on to college basketball for the men's. Taking a look at the top 10, top 25 really graphic. UConn is currently number 1, but as mentioned by Trey Whiteout, they will probably move down as they got beat by Creighton. And then Houston and Purdue are holding at 2 and 3, but obviously that'll change. And then, the SEC has 6 teams within the top 25, with Tennessee being at the top of that list at number 5 currently. Potentially will move up in the list.
I ain't mad at
So your Rocky Top Falls are doing pretty well. My Vanderbilt Commodores are in the dumpster fire right now. Jerry Stackhouse,
you gotta fire.
Y'all got
He's
terrible.
He's 1.5 feet out the door. He doesn't care anymore.
He's pretty close to 2.
Yeah, he's terrible. I mean, and what stinks is how last year we finished so great.
Mm-hmm.
Like getting not close, but like within the range of the March Madness tournament and having a little bit of a good run in the NIT.
Yeah.
And then just taking a nosedive in the shallow end.
And you had to have seen that, though, like early in the season when – and I know you had a few players out and missing in a few spots, but, like, the loss to USC Upstate.
Yes.
And, like, these type of teams that it's like they're not even good at the mid-major level.
Right.
You know, if they were a good mid-major team, it's basketball, right? You know, anybody can beat anybody. But not even a good mid-major team, and, like, you guys lost to them. It's just like – you had to have seen that coming.
When you're losing to like San Francisco and teams like that.
San Francisco's not a bad ball club.
No, but you shouldn't be losing. You shouldn't be losing to them.
An SEC caliber team should not lose to San Francisco, right?
But we'll talk about this a little bit. One thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit was Duke and UNC are both in the top 10 as of right now, and you know we've kind of seen Duke and UNC kind of go through some lesser years. You know, obviously Coach K and I forget
Roy Williams.
Roy Williams, you know, both legendary head coaches in basketball retiring, but they seem to both programs at least seem to be back on track.
Yeah.
What does that do for like the sport and attracting kind of the casual fans back to men's college basketball, at least for like the regular season?
I mean, I think it means just obviously the only thing the NCAA is worried about is making money, right?
Right.
And so when you get the casual fans and when you have teams like Duke in North Carolina, 2 of the biggest brands in college basketball, that's just going to gain viewers because somebody's going to be scrolling through a TV channel somewhere and they're going to be like, oh, Duke UNC, yeah, back in my day they were, you know, it was a huge rivalry. Still is a huge rivalry for the non-casual sports fan, but they're going to flip it on and they're going to be like, oh shoot, number 7 versus number 5. Like I'll flip that on and watch, you know. And I think there's more rivalries starting to get to that point.
Facts.
You know, Iowa State, Tennessee, Kentucky, another great one. You know, Auburn, Alabama. Like these type of college basketball has done a great job marketing its regular season, not just the March Madness.
And then I know from a casual, because y'all locked into college sports more than I am, but I know. In previous years, we'll say 7+ years ago, the talent level then to what it is now is a wide majority. Like it's a huge gap.
Yeah.
There are players now that are at schools that's like BYU and South Carolina and what's another team that I watched the other night? Iowa State.
Iowa State's a great ball club.
That's what I'm saying. Teams like that, and even Kansas. I've been watching Kansas. Johnny Furphy. Yeah, I think it's Johnny Furphy. Let me double check. Yeah, Johnny Furphy. I watched him a couple nights ago. He had a good night. Nothing like Komet. You know,
I was about to say you're forgetting the best player in the country.
Yeah, I'm a UT Vols. I'm with the Vols this year. It's me in basketball. Komet has my heart.
You're not changing me.
I'm bleeding orange.
I'll follow the sinking ship.
Now, Komet made me bleed orange this season. That boy can hoop. But
he hit him with one of these. He said,
"No, yeah, he gangster. I'm not gonna lie. He's
cold."
The talent aspect across all the boards, and like you said, even with the premier coaches leaving, talent is everywhere. New coaches, they're getting their games right, and they're getting these boys to play. Like, I'm a fan of college basketball this season. I have had a couple of new boys that I've seen that I'm following because, I'm a players guy. I'm not a team guy at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have no loyalty to no team. I ride with my boys to the day they die or to the day they hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I am extremely proud of the talent that is being displayed night in and night out from a wide disparity of teams.
Yep.
D1, D2, JUCO, whatever it be. I follow the game religiously, so I'm proud to see these boys get some TV time.
Yep, it'll be interesting when March Madness rolls around in about a little bit less than a month, really.
Yep.
So, we don't have to pick them today, but I want you guys to start thinking about who your dark horses are going to be for March Madness. I know who you're going to pick, so I don't even have to ask.
Well,
you.
I mean,
Who your dark
that's
horse?
not.
But
my
the dark
horses,
horse.
Yes.
I can
Yeah.
already give you one right now, and I'll think about it. But a team out of the Big East, and it's not Creighton, and it's not UConn, it's Marquette.
Yeah.
Marquette's
Man,
going
I watched
to
Marquette the
come
other
in.
night, too.
Watch this. Marquette's going to come in as a 3 seed, I think, borderline a 2 seed, and they're going to get a favorable draw because they're going to be the best 3 seed.
Yep.
So they're going to go to the worst. They're going to go to the worst 1 seed or the worst 2 seed.
Yep.
I guess is that kind of how it goes. But they're going to go to the worst 2 seed. And they're going to make a splash. They've got 1 through 8 guys. I mean, and Shaka Smart's one of my favorite coaches in college basketball.
They're always good. Like no
Yeah.
one really talks about them just because it's like the one thing that Marquette is known for. But they're
Right.
always really good.
They like the Miami Heat of college basketball.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's speaking of pro basketball, let's get into some NBA, I should say. All-Star Weekend is concluded with the Eastern Conference getting the win over the Western, 211 to 186. The East was led by Damian Lillard's 39 points, while the West was led by Karl Anthony Towns, dropping 50.
50 burger.
Some of the awards, Matt McClung won the dunk contest for the second consecutive season, even though he is not even really in the NBA. He plays for the the
G League team for the Magic.
The G League team for the Magic.
G
You're
League.
going to have to forgive me for that name. That name is a
Mac
little...
McClung, East Tennessee boy. I mean,
Yep.
really, it's in Virginia, but it's Tennessee. I mean, it's East Tennessee. Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
And then Damian Lillard defends his three-point contest crown as he's gone back-to-back. The season will get back underway with some matchups, L.A. at Golden State. It will be Thursday, the Clippers at OKC and Phoenix at Dallas. So some really good games to start back up the second half of the NBA season. A couple things I want to touch on before we move on to the NFL. All-Star numbers were up after being the worst they had been last year, but still not quite where I think.
Boosted. The numbers were boosted, bro. They had to be.
Well, I want to ask you guys this. I mean, before we move on to the NFL, I mean, is there any way we can really move forward with the All-Star events? Because right now, I mean, you got a G League player winning the dunk contest. I mean, Jaylen Brown tried to perform.
He dunked over Castanet, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, Jaylen Brown's a way better athlete than I'll ever dream of being. But like, it was pretty poor performance.
Yeah, well, and I'm a college guy. I get that. I'm a college sports guy through and through. But the fact I did not even know the NBA All-Star game was happening or the break was happening probably tells you everything you need to know. And I follow sports in general very religiously. I love it. That is my thing. That's my hobby. But I did not even know that the NBA All-Star weekend or whatever they did was like even happening.
I didn't watch it. I didn't.
And you're an NBA guy.
I watched
through and through.
I watched the first half of the All-Star game. I didn't even watch Steph and Sabrina. I wanted to. I just so happened to miss. I was
You
busy.
flipped on a college basketball game, didn't you?
I was busy actually. I was doing homework and stuff like that.
Yeah, homework's more important than the All-Star break.
No, it definitely is at this point. No, it is.
I think it is. But yeah, I mean,
the fact that I'd rather did my homework. Y'all know me. I be ready to skip class to come here.
Yep.
I did
Fair point.
homework rather than watch that.
Which is pretty telling.
Tells you that it needs to be changed.
No doubt. So we'll move on.
Yeah, it
from
ain't
the
nothing to
NBA.
talk about. It ain't
Really
nothing
nothing much to talk about the NBA.
Let it be.
With the NFL, one thing I did learn today that it will be in Detroit for this upcoming draft. I didn't know that, so Trey Whiteout educated me.
Detroit deserves that.
No, they
no
do.
doubt,
It's
especially
gonna be
after
lit.
having the Cinderella season that they
Yeah,
had.
it's gonna be lit.
But the Bears are officially on the clock at number 1. A lot of people do believe that they will either trade or will take Caleb Williams at number 1. They will most likely trade Justin Fields if they do so. And then 2 through 7 is your Commanders at number 2. The Patriots,
let's
the
go.
Cardinals, the Chargers, the Giants, and my Titans at number 7. We'll get to talk about the prospects a little more down the road, but right now the top 7 include Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Money Marvin Harrison Jr. I believe they also call him Maserati.
Maserati
Marvin
yeah.
Harrison Jr. He's got like 70 nicknames. Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, and Joe Alt. And then we'll talk about it a little bit down the road as well. But the Combine is coming up as well, which is set to take place on the 29th, so within the next couple weeks. So let's ask about this before we get out of here. We got about 4.5 minutes left to go. For your Commanders, we'll talk about my Titans as well, but where you're sitting at number 2, you've got a prime position to get a quarterback if you so choose. Do you think that's the route they're going to go, or do you think they maybe try to trade back and accumulate some picks?
That's the route that they're going to go. I know. I mean, they're gonna take a quarterback.
Okay.
And I think it's kind of a mixed bag of whether they're going to trade up to 1 because we have 10 total picks in the draft.
Yep.
We've got 2 seconds and 2 thirds with the Chase Young and Montez Sweat deal that we sent them off for.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to take a quarterback, whether that's trading up or they're going to stay in their spot, take Jaden Daniels, Drake May, one of the two. And then I think they're just going to end up keeping all their picks, stack up in the second round, stack up in the third. And then that even gives you an opportunity to later in the first round, if there's a guy that has slipped, trade a second round pick, trade back up into the first, snag that guy, and just
got picks to go.
Yeah, exactly. Just get some depth. I mean, that's
get
just
some linemen.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know. Gosh, I'm past it. I'm past it now. But that was an atrocious performance of offensive line play.
And that's where I'm going to look at number 7 for the Titans. I know Joe Alt is probably the more polished product, and I know that's what a lot of Titans fans want, and even I would want. But there is a kid at Penn State.
He's good.
And his first name is like Ola.
Ola,
and its last name is, I'm not even going to try to pronounce
Fashanu.
it.
Yeah.
So
Fashanu.
he's what you would call probably the more gifted athlete of the two. He's got more physical traits that you would say than Joe Alt, but not that Joe Alt is a bad player.
No, he's solid, though. That's a real old lineman.
That's like your typical, literally start out the gate left tackle.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you need to go because you get him next to Peter Skoronski. You probably draft another guy in the second or third round at center, and you build up that offensive line, whether you have King Henry or not. I'd love to bring back King Henry.
No.
But even if they don't have him, you need to build up that offensive line to protect Will Levis because him and Tannehill were getting murdered this year and for the past 2 years. And that's the quarterback is the most important position in football, but right behind it is the trenches, and that includes the offensive line.
Yep.
So. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know. I mean, Dylan, before we got about 2.5 minutes, Caleb Williams is probably the number 1 pick, no matter where he goes.
Fam. Free Justin Fields. I ain't worried about Caleb Williams. Free Justin Fields.
And that's my question to you is where do you think he'll go? There's been some speculation
about it.
Atlanta, Pittsburgh.
I like Atlanta. They got the weapons. Kyle Pitts. What's the receiver out there?
Drake London.
Drake
London.
Mm-hmm. You got Bijan Robinson.
Bijan out there. So you got
good offensive line.
Solid offensive
line.
I mean, solid defense.
But I'm going to tell you where Pittsburgh has a winning culture. Justin Fields is a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Send him to Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin, let them get a real quarterback again. Let them get the work. You got Pickens over there. You got Najee. You build. They have a winning standard. They know what it takes.
Yeah,
that's an interesting kind of everyone's been talking about lately is him to Pittsburgh.
Send him to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and the fact, this is a little off topic, but the fact that Pittsburgh and their fans, and there was a little bit of rumblings coming out of that camp that they were going to get rid of their coach, God, I'm blanking on his name.
Mike
Tomlin is absolutely
ridiculous.
Horrible. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Because he's not had a losing season since he's been there.
Yeah, but it's the stagnation I think the fans are kind of frustrated with. He'll get to 10-7 and 9-8, but
with no play for real.
No, listen, I agree that Mike Tomlin, first of all, is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And he's arguably right below the guys, Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. But I mean, I don't know. But it's the stagnation I think that the fans are frustrated with. But that's where we'll end the show. We'll get to talk about it more next week. Shout out to Doc V, David Ellison, and Steve Sawyer, Paige Hearn, and Isabella Christensen, and Trey Whiteout for making the show happen. As like you mentioned at Crunch Time, we just get here to talk about sports for 30 minutes. And we'll be back. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Please go give us a follow. And we'll see you guys next week. This has been Role Players.